There are two ways to meet a relationship. One is to engage with what's real, discover the truth together, even when it hurts. The other is to author reality, to try and force a version of events that protects you, make your narrative the truth. What makes it difficult is that control often sounds like love. I just want what's best for us. I'm doing this for you. If you loved me, you'd understand. It's not love. It's fear dressed up as love. Today's question is simple and it's diagnostic. When pressure rises, do you author or do you engage? We covered fracture, tyranny, and the hidden code. Now we're going to go right underneath all of those to the source, the fear of being out of control, the choice that it forces. And it's a deep-seated fear. And when that fear takes hold, you stop trying to engage with your partner, with reality. You try to control the circumstances, the narrative, and other people. You try to make your version of events the truth. This is where relationships break. Not in the big dramatic moments, but in this quiet, daily choice. Are you trying to author truth or discover it? The biggest misunderstanding about relationships is that the couples who stay close under pressure aren't the ones who agree on everything. They're not the ones who never fracture. They're the ones who keep choosing reality over narrative, truth over control, engagement over force. This video is about that choice, where it comes from, what it costs when you get it wrong, and what becomes possible when you get it right. Let's start with a story that you probably know. Star Wars. George Lucas didn't just make an adventure film. He mapped the oldest battle in human history. The choice between control and engagement, between trying to author truth and trying to discover it. It all starts with a wound. Anakin Skywalker. As a child, his mother dies in his arms. He's powerless. He can't stop it. He can't control it. He can't prevent it. That pain installs a belief. I will become powerful enough that this never happens again to me. I will be strong enough to control outcomes. I will never be powerless again. It's the origin story of the fracturer. Not evil, wounded. And this wound, this fear of powerlessness, is at the root of more relationship damage than any other single thing. Because when you're afraid of being powerless, you try and control. You try to make reality match your dream. And it looks like love, but it's not. It's fear wearing love's clothes. What makes it tragic is Anakin's wound was real. His love for his mother was real. His love for Padme was real. But real love with a control pattern destroys what it's trying to protect. Which brings us to the fork in the road moment. Let me draw this out. So it all starts here with a wound. The pain develops in us. Fear of ever feeling powerless. Next time, we have a choice. And this is the fork in the road. One path says, I'm going to control the circumstances, narrative, other people. This is all about authoring. And the other path is the path to engage. Now, let's look at where these paths lead. On the path of control, what happens is you're fracturing with others and you're fracturing with reality, which leads to a collapse. The truth always wins. When you're trying to discover truth, it leads you to align with what's real. And this is what develops capacity. Because on the path of engagement, you seek truth, reality teaches you, you adjust, and reality becomes your ally. You align, and so your capacity grows. It's the same wound, same fear, but two completely different relationships to reality. Let's go back to Star Wars, because what George Lucas showed us wasn't just the wrong path and the right path, but the force that exploits the wounded when they choose control. There's three positions. The first choice is that Anakin chose control, and he has a vision of Padme dying. And instead of being able to sit with that fear, his response is that he has to become powerful enough to prevent it ever happening. The Jedi tell him the truth. You can't control death. But that truth threatens his narrative. The truth becomes expensive. The Jedi become the enemy. The ladder of tyranny runs. Loyalty tests. Are you with me or against me? And he punishes truth. Anyone who challenges his narrative, he shrinks the circle. Even Obi-Wan becomes the enemy. The tragic irony is that he tried to control death and cause death. He tried to save Padme and killed her. He tried to become powerful enough, but became enslaved. He tried to be God, but ended up serving the Emperor. Which brings us to the other choice. The Emperor is different from Anakin. It's not that he's broken. It's not that he's wounded. He's empty. Think about what happens to a pond without fresh water. When there's no movement, no flow, no connection to the source, it becomes stagnant. If being fully alive means being plugged into and engaged with reality, then the Emperor has cut himself off completely. He doesn't seek truth. He manufactures it. He doesn't engage with life. He controls it. What makes him dangerous is that he sees Anakin's wound and he uses it, because a wounded person desperate to control is the easiest person in the world to manipulate. The Emperor doesn't need to force Anakin. He just needs to offer him the one thing that his wound craves. I can show you how to be powerful enough. This is what the control pattern does in relationships. The person who's running a pattern of control becomes vulnerable to anyone who offers them more control, more certainty, more power, more validation of their narrative. A stagnant pond attracts a certain kind of life. Not growth, not flow, just things that feed on stagnation. Now the third position is Luke. The same wound as Anakin. Absent father, family's broken. Same temptation. Use your aggressive feelings. Strike me down. Become powerful enough. And Luke stands there in front of the Emperor. Every reason to take control, to force the outcome. And he throws down the lightsaber. I will not fight you. I am a Jedi, like my father before me. Not the Darth Vader he became, the man he was, before the wound chose control. In that moment of refusing to control, refusing to offer the outcome, refusing to be powerful enough, reality moves. And Darth Vader responds by throwing the Emperor down the shaft. The very act of engagement, of surrender to truth, can achieve what control never could. This is Yoda's teaching. Train yourself to let go of everything that you fear to lose. It's not don't feel loss. It's not prevent loss through power, but engage with the reality that loss is a part of life. Align with what is, not what you wish were true. Now, of course, these are films. So what does this choice look like in reality? What does it actually cost? What can it actually build? So you remember Abraham Lincoln in 1841 was 32 years old. He was on suicide watch and his friend was watching over him because he kept saying that he wanted to die. We can't claim to know his inner journey, but we know this. He sat with almost unbearable pain for years. He didn't escape it. He didn't medicate it. He didn't control it away. He endured it. And that pain, over 22 years of cycles of rupture and repair, produced the man that we remember as Abraham Lincoln. The man who could sit with the unbearable weight of a nation at war. The man who could hold together a team of rivals who hated each other. The man who could carry what most men can't. We don't know how, and we can't see inside his journey, but we can see the result. The pain that could have destroyed him built him. Anakin tried to escape the pain through control. Lincoln sat in the pain. One became Darth Vader, and one became the man who held a nation together. It's the same wound, powerlessness, completely different relationship to it. And let's bring this back to relationships, because there's something in our culture right now that feeds the control pattern. We talk about my truth. This is my truth. You have your truth. I have mine. All perspectives are equally valid. And it all comes from a good place, from respecting different experiences, from honouring different perspectives. But there's a problem. Your story matters, but it isn't automatically truth. Truth is what holds up when both of you look at the evidence. The deepest fracture in relationships isn't about behaviour. It's about this choice. Are you trying to make reality match your narrative? Or are you trying to make your narrative match reality? The fracturer says, my truth is you should have known. I shouldn't have to explain myself. These aren't truths. They're narratives wearing truth's clothes. The unifier asks, what am I missing? What does the evidence actually show? Not my truth versus your truth, but what is true, and how do we align with it together? One seeks control, one seeks reality, but only one builds closeness. In all spiritual philosophies, religions, there's basically a teaching to align with God, to let it be God's will, not mine. When you try and control reality in your relationship, in your life, what you're really trying to do is trying to be God, the author of what's true, the controller of circumstances, the one who decides how things are. I decide what this argument means. I decide what your behavior says about you. I decide what this relationship is. It's exhausting because reality isn't cooperating. Your partner keeps not cooperating, and truth keeps arriving uninvited. Like the emperor, you become a stagnant pond. You're controlling everything, but plugging into nothing that's real. Pond without fresh water. Technically, it's still water, but it's nothing growing, nothing flowing, nothing alive. And this is what the control pattern does to a relationship over time. Your partner stops bringing you their reality because it costs too much. They start managing your reactions instead. They give you performance instead of truth. When you make truth expensive, your partner stops bringing you reality. They bring you performance, and you lose them. Not in a single fight, not in a single fracture, but in the slow drift of someone who stopped believing that truth is safe with you. Contrast that with engagement. When you engage with reality in your relationship, you become a student. What is my partner actually trying to tell me? What is this conflict actually revealing? What's true here that I don't want to see? And your partner feels it. Not because you're perfect, not because you never fracture, but because when you fracture, you come back. You own the code that you ran. You name the false belief. You choose the truth over the narrative. And that builds something that control never can. Trust. Here's the test, not a judgment. It's a diagnosis. When pressure rises, what questions do you ask? Are they control questions? Like, how do I make them see I'm right? How do I get them to do what I need? How do I protect my narrative? Or engagement questions? What's actually true here? What am I missing? What is this conflict revealing about the code I'm running? After a fracture, the control orientation waits for an apology. Keep score. They need to fix this. The engagement orientation is, I saw my code running. Is the false belief I was protecting. What I choose in daily moments, control says, my truth is. Engagement says the truth is. One is protecting a narrative, and one is seeking reality. The question isn't which one you are. The question is, which one are you becoming? Because every moment of pressure is a choice to control or engage, to author or discover. Are you going to sit in the stagnant pond or in the flowing water? Your relationship becomes exactly what those choices accumulate to. Every pressure moment asks the same question. Will you author or will you engage? Your relationship becomes what you choose repeatedly. Subscribe for more on the Unifier Code.